You're not single by accident. And despite what you've been told or told yourself, there are only two explanations for why 35 and over Christians are still single today. You're single for a season, or you're single for a reason. Lean in, because when you know your reason, you can change your season. Men are the drivers of biblical relationships. So let's begin with you in mind. There are men in this life stage who are unaware of what's keeping them single. Now, you want marriage and you want children. You love God, you go to church, you want a wife, but you're stuck. It's like hitting a patch of dense fog. When you're driving in fog, you don't speed up, you slow down. The feeling is slow, stuck, and single. You know the feeling, that incredible momentum of a brand new and really exciting relationship. The attraction is magnetic, the communication is clear, secrets are being shared, and you're checking off each other's boxes, and it feels like you have a green light from God. When suddenly it all stops, or worse, the slow fade. Now imagine that happening not just once, but rinsed and repeated. Stuck starts to feel like a safe place. When momentum deflates, communication turns muddy, and you're wondering, what happened? Fog happened. Fog is fear, obsession, and guessing. Fear that you did or said something wrong. Obsessing about what you could or should have done. And guessing what course of action you can justify or spiritualize so that you can save what you thought was there. When you're in fear, obsession, and guessing, don't speed up. Slow down. This is where we talk about your feelings. Now, I can care about your feelings, but I care more about telling you the truth. Now, don't choose feelings over God. That's another fog that can cloud your judgment. Ephesians 4:25 says this, "Therefore each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body." Now, I want to say this because this is a time for us to speak in truth to one another. So hear me from your heart and not from your head. Now, I have a warning about ambiguity. Ambiguity is a situation or a statement that's unclear because it can be understood in more than one way. Ambiguity is not your friend. Now, if you love ambiguity, then you love to live in fantasy. You prefer false narratives over truth that sets your captive heart free. That's stuck. But stuck means you can course correct. Now here's the straight talk. Have well-meaning people told you any of the following? I don't know why you're still single. Or, just keep waiting on God. Don't stop, just keep waiting. And then, don't worry, it'll happen when you least expect it. These sound like encouragements, don't they? And they are if you're 25. But if you're 35, 45, or 55, it's irresponsible. Those statements are problem blind. And if you're in agreement with this I don't know why and do nothing mindset, you are problem blind. I've heard this so many times over the years. I don't know why you're still single. They try to diagnose my situation by asking the same two questions, followed by, bewilderment. Do you want to be married? Yes. Do you want to have kids? Yes. Oh. And then it's like this silence that follows when they're trying to figure out what's wrong with you. Now, it's understandable to wonder why someone of marriageable age isn't. When you hear it often, everywhere you go, you start to wonder too. So I embarked on this personal journey to figure out A, what if something is wrong with me? And B, is it possible that there's some grand purpose to my singleness? Years ago, a young woman approached me at a courtship versus dating summit we were hosting in Los Angeles. With eyes wide and walking towards me, she made this emphatic statement. "I'm so glad you're single, Rowena." I confess I did not like that statement. I understood the sentiment, I just didn't like the statement. Other participants that were in the periphery nodded in agreement, as this young woman further explained that we wouldn't have this if you weren't. I promise I'll share more in future episodes about long obedience, but I will say that my passion for equipping and gathering kingdom singles, desiring marriage and multiplication, it's grown exponentially over the years. And more, the longer I bear the weight and pain of long obedience and desiring marriage and children myself. For so long, I was just like those well-meaning people. With all of my passion and zeal for marriage, I didn't know why I was still single. Let's borrow a marketing lens for this. Before a person ever buys a solution, they have to be problem aware. Now, you can't pursue what you don't perceive. And if you don't know why you're still single, how can you partner with God to renew your mind and transform your reality? Hosea 4 verse 6 says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." You can't transform what you won't confront. And you can't confront what you won't identify. Now, in marketing, knowing is called problem awareness. You won't look for a solution to a problem that you don't think you have. And in church culture, where we often over-spiritualize singleness, we'd say, wait on God, which is true, but this is not a passive wait. It's an active wait. John 5 verse 6 says, "Do you want to be made well?" Jesus asked a man who'd been stuck for 38 years if he wanted to be healed. Why? Because sometimes we say we want marriage, but don't realize we're not positioned for it. What we think we've always wanted is actually not what we needed. The eyes of our hearts are flooded with more options than we know what to do with. Passive waiting looks like you're bored with nothing to do. Active waiting is getting ready. It's sharpening your axe. It's becoming the person that isn't just loving towards others, but capable of receiving, cultivating, and sustaining love. Now, you've waited this long, so you already know that settle down doesn't mean settle. On the surface, passive waiting sounds spiritual. You're not forcing anything. You're not chasing anybody. You're just trusting God. But the truth, passive waiting is usually spiritualized stagnation. It's dressed up in churchy language, but deep down, it's just a fad. Fear, avoidance, and delay. Passive waiting sounds like this. 1, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. There's no strategy, submission, just vibes and future fantasy. Number 2, consuming content without confronting character. It's binging on sermons, podcasts, social media, but not really learning what the Holy Spirit is digging up in you and revealing through past wounds. And it's not facing off with self-protection. Number 3, filling up your life with distraction instead of purpose. You stay busy, You go to work, the gym, you travel, you're scrolling, you're in group chats, but none of it is mindful of marriage and multiplication. Now, God can bless passive faith, but imagine what He can do with active faith. I'll offer 3 things that you can start doing right now that can shift you from passive to active waiting. 1, clarify your convictions and vision. That's what do you believe about marriage, legacy, spiritual leadership? What kind of family are you building? What kind of family do you want to have? And who are you becoming? Now you can journal this, write it out, and a family blueprint. Cast a vision with God. If He handed you your spouse tomorrow, would you even know how to lead or how to follow? 2, close doors that God never opened. Some of y'all are still emotionally entangled with someone God told you to let go of. How can you receive a husband or a wife when your soul is still tied to a counterfeit? Delete the thread, block the number, grieve it clean, and let God break the tie and rewire the root. Healing is not passive, it's preparation. 3, for men, cultivate masculine responsibility in the hidden places. Marriage won't make you a man, stewardship will. If you want to lead a wife and children one day, ask yourself, how are you leading yourself now? If you haven't been faithful in tithing, tithe. Do you serve at your church? Serve. Wake up early to pray, fast once, twice, regularly. Start building discipline so you don't default to dysfunction. 4, for women, cultivate feminine integrity when no one's watching. Being a wife is not about being cute or clever or hyper independent. It's about spiritual maturity, emotional safety, and our joyful submission to God. Get serious about spiritual authority. Learn to rest and not hustle. Practice patience, not panic. And learn to honor a man before he ever shows up by honoring your own boundaries. Active waiting does what it can while trusting God with what it can't. James 2 verse 17 says, faith without works is dead. So don't just wait. Be fruitful in your waiting. Congratulations, if you're still listening, this means you're not a narcissist and that you're actually seeking truth that sets your captive heart free. There are only 2 explanations for why 35 and over Christians are still single today. You're single for a season, or you're single for a reason. Now, God does ordain seasons of preparation, seasons of rebuilding, seasons of healing, seasons of sexual and financial maturation. Seasons are intentional. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 says, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. The key is that a season has purpose, and every season has an end. Hallelujah. We move through seasons present to the time we're in now, with the vision for the future we're coming into, also known as our desired outcome. Before the world broke in 2020, I often shared about a time that the Lord led me into a man fast. I said, Lord, I'll do it for 2 weeks. That week, I met 3 men at Starbucks and had to tell each one it wouldn't work out. The 2 weeks turned into 3,287 days. That's give or take 9 years. That's 2 leap years in there. For me, a man fast meant no dating, no breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee, popcorn, no beverages with men in regards to romantic relationships. It wasn't until I vacated all that focus and attention that I gave towards men that I had ample time and wide open spaces to be with Jesus, to be filled with the Holy Spirit, and to encounter his presence and become a new creation. When the man fast season finally ended, I declared a new fast, a fast. After 3,287 days, I said, Lord, we need to do this fast. Now, fast means to abstain, so I messed up. It turns out I abstained from going fast in rapid progression, but I trust that God knows my heart. I did this fast with a friend, and long story short, she's happily married and with children, but here I am, still believing, still preparing, still desiring marriage and children, and still single. The prequel story of my man fast is actually a segue into the single for a reason. I was a brand new believer and I had not yet learned how to be in a godly relationship. There was this lovely man I was dating. He was educated, successful, and had this incredible photographic memory. He worked in tech, had a strong masculine frame. He was handsome, articulate, and intentional with his words. He had everything going for him, except for the new thing that had just become the most important thing to me, God. He wasn't closed off to faith, but the concept of evangelism was still afar off for me. I was a brand new believer in a brand new dating relationship, so I figured, I guess I should pray. I prayed my first official prayer under my breath. Lord, if this man is not mine to keep, please take him away, but take him away gently. God answered that prayer, and within a few days, that wonderful man had to abruptly leave the country for an urgent business matter. God not only answered my peculiar prayer, but he honored it by taking him away gently. I didn't know that I could give up something that was that important to me. At the time, it was the biggest sacrifice I could have made, and it marked the beginning of my faith journey and my reason. Single for a reason. This one's harder. Many are single for a reason. Now, whether it's unresolved brokenness, failed pursuits, sexual compromise, or passivity, some will even justify calling their sin weakness. And disobedience isn't a demonic attack, it's rebellion. Others idolize their independence, but really it's fear of intimacy. And women, some will read the words, he who finds, and that means I do nothing. These are not spiritual delays. These are conscious decisions that have consequences. Now, very few are choosing lifelong celibacy. That's an incredible and rare high calling in life. But if you are still here and you're asking, am I in a season or am I stuck in a reason? This conversation is for you. Proverbs 13, verse 4 says, the soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. Desire alone won't bring a wife and children. Desire with diligent preparation does. Here's my favorite example of diligent preparation. There's a man of God who joined our KSB collective, and he went full out and applied every micro challenge that we had for all of our pioneering members. He arrived in our community full of zeal for his desire for marriage and children. He was frustrated that he didn't know how to approach attractive women and definitely didn't have the ability to carry on a meaningful conversation. He was that guy that would go to the party and talk the whole night with the same buddy that he came to the party with. He would share about some of the journal conversations that he would have with the Lord. It was actually exhilarating to see him transform right before our eyes, week after week. He asked questions that other men found hard to articulate. It was like finding Easter eggs every week for the whole group. What sparked his creativity was something a female member of our collective did the prior week. He tried it with great success, so he did it again. And through those diligent attempts, he met a gorgeous woman of God. He was soon immersed in so many meaningful conversations with her and tapped into a revelation through our framework that allows him now to walk into a party and move through the room, connecting and carrying meaningful conversations with anyone and everyone. He unleashed a superpower. That's an epic example of diligence richly supplied. There are various types of singles in the world. Your single and your single does not equal a match. You have to be in the same life stage. Who are the most motivated micro niche of kingdom singles desiring marriage? Those who have endured long obedience are the most highly motivated and the most underserved people of faith. They are those who go to church, they arrive early, and they leave late. They don't know how to not believe. Pastor Jensen Franklin was my pastor, and he would say, we can't do everything, but we can do something. Now, this message I'm speaking isn't for everyone, but it's definitely for someone. My first marketing coach would tell us, the thing that you did by accident, do that on purpose. I've hosted live events on biblical sexual integrity and desire for marriage for a number of years. I had so much vision, but very little skill and natural resources to proliferate the message. I did that because I felt a strong leading from the Lord to do it. His words to me in the early days was, tell them how I comfort you. So I told them how the Lord cleansed me of unrighteousness and called me into the ministry of purity. Fast forward in my fashion design career took many hairpin turns. It landed me in niche digital marketing and information service business coaching. I learned how to design and package offers. I used to design women's contemporary apparel, but then I learned how to design and package offers, host one-to-many virtual groups, and created brand new high-ticket income streams for my clients. I gained a depth of experience designing and automating systems for business owners that I had not yet done for myself and my own businesses. Not exactly by accident, but what I was doing before, I decided to do on purpose. I've been doing what business coach Myron Golden says to do. Solve other people's problems, and you'll eventually solve yours. I've solved the Kingdom 35 and over desire for marriage and children problem for people. Kingdom marriages exist today because this problem is personal to me. I know the weight and pain of long obedience. I'm passionate about kingdom marriages being fruitful and multiplying. I am problem aware, so aware that I've sought the Lord and He's answered me with a solution. You're listening to me right now, and there's a solution for you. It's ripe and ready for revealing, if you're ready for receiving. There's a woman in our collective who thought it was too late for her. She'd only had one boyfriend, and she had to end that relationship. She had layers of fear and felt that there were parts of her life that would be too hard and unacceptable for a man to love. She went forward and invested in every course, community, and lab I created. Within a few months of completion, she met a man that would become like a best friend. She discovered through their premarital counseling that the very thing that she feared that a man wouldn't or couldn't love about her was actually a non-issue for him. We had workshopped what the conversation could sound like, and in reality, it went far better than what she could have asked for or imagined. They are the first Mr. and Mrs. that emerged from our KSB collective. I confess, I have long avoided being the spokesperson for Kingdom Singles brand. I just wanted to be married and have babies, lots of babies. My desire for marriage and children chose me. It uniquely qualified me to have this conversation. I've helped a lot of people with their sexual integrity and they've gotten married. So what I did by accident, I now am honored to do on purpose. We had a twin brother in our KSB collective who eavesdropped on our weekly meetings behind his brother's computer. Eventually, he officially became a member of our collective. And in a short period of time, he met and proposed to his future wife. There it is. Solve other people's problems, and you'll eventually solve yours. Are you living by design or by default? Bob Proctor, who said the quote, "Life happens either by design or by default. You choose." Design is thoughtful. Design is intentional. Design is decisive. In contrast, default is a pre-selected option. Default is chosen for you. Default happens unless you actively choose something else. Genesis 1 verse 28 says, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it." Set your determination today to live by design and not by default. Hi, I'm Rowena at Kingdom Singles Brand. While there are countless resources and communities for young adults, there are little to no resources or communities for believers 35 and over. Not just desiring marriage, but children too. This is a micro niche that Kingdom Singles Brand is devoted to serving. You deserve a space that understands your season and your reason. And that's why we created the Desire for Marriage 5-Day Challenge. It's the long overdue pattern interrupt that breaks the monotony and surrounds you with a highly curated group of marriage-minded challengers. Both men and women of God are invited to register. We have a high value for meaningful engagement in our communities, so there's no wallflowering allowed. If you're ready to move from passivity to active preparation, join the list now at kingdomsinglesbrand.com for the next Desire for Marriage 5-Day Challenge. Now let's get back to the episode in the Kingdom Singles Brand podcast. There's a copywriting method called P.A.S. Problem, Agitate, Solution. Copywriting is a style of writing designed to arouse interest in the reader in order to generate conversions and sales. Now, a problem-aware person might seek a solution, but a problem-aware and agitated person will seek a solution today. You probably can guess by now that I geek out on desire for marriage and marketing principles. So let's put problem, agitate, solution to work. The problem is 35 and over, still desiring marriage and children. The agitation is designed to amplify the major pain points and compel you to decisive action. The agony in the agitation is not your friend. Life will agitate you to provoke you to make a change. The solution is to take immediate action in the direction you've already decided you want to go, and in the most kingdom way possible. Proverbs 24, verse 27 says, "Prepare your work outside. Get everything ready for yourself in the field, and after that, build your house." Kingdom Singles Brand exists to help kingdom singles like you grow in self-awareness, in leadership, sexual integrity, and practical preparation for a godly marriage and children. Stop looking at what other people are trying to make work. Get everything ready for yourself. To prepare outside, you have to prepare inside. To get yourself ready in the outfield, you must be ready in the infield. After that, you can build your house. And that begins with design, not default. Now that you've located yourself, season or reason, design or default, if you know your reason, you can change your season. Number one, be honest with God about your disappointment. And two, be honest with yourself about your development. And three, take disciplined action, not just emotional reaction. Marriage is a multiplier. God's desire is fruitfulness, not just faithfulness. But fruit requires focus. You will only bear fruit in the areas you steward. John 15, verse 16 says, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit." And for many of us, marriage hasn't been stewarded, it's just been wished for. Proverbs 18, verse 22 says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing." A man that is seeking is a man that's in motion, not a man incognito. Are you in a season or are you facing a reason? Share in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And while you're there, be a blessing to someone in the comments with your encouragement. Don't write a novel, just share a brief and thoughtful acknowledgement. For more of this kind of content, I highly recommend this resource-packed oldie but goodie called Prepare for Marriage ASAP. We post every Wednesday right here at Kingdom Singles Brand Podcast. Definitely like, subscribe, and share, and let us know that you want more marriageable content. Remember, you're not single by accident. Your singleness is not happening to you, it's happening for you.